It's not over. Let that truth settle gently into your heart. Not shouted, not rushed, but whisper the way God often speaks to those who walk with him a long time. You may look at your hands and see the years in them. You may look at your calendar and feel that more days are behind you than ahead. But heaven does not measure fruit the way the world does. The season you are in now is not the ending of your story. It may be the quiet moment when you finally begin to see what your life has been growing all along. Every prayer you prayed when no one noticed, every time you chose patience instead of anger, every act of kindness you thought was too small to matter, none of it was wasted. Not one tear, not one faithful step. You are standing in a field that has been growing for decades, and God is kind enough to let you see the harvest. There's a sacred beauty in looking back over a long life of faith, not with regret and not with pride, but with wonder. When you were young, faith often felt urgent. You wanted answers quickly. You wanted results you could see. You wanted to know that your effort mattered. As the years passed, faith became quieter. It learned to breathe. It learned to wait. You discover that some of the most important work God does happen slowly, almost invisibly, like roots growing deep beneath the soil. At the time, it may not have felt significant. You were just doing what needed to be done, showing up, loving your family, working honestly, forgiving when it was hard, trusting God when the road ahead was unclear. You did not call it planting seeds. You simply called it living. But heaven was watching every moment with great care. Now, in this season, God often invites you to look back, not to dwell in the past, but to recognize his faithfulness woven through it. You begin to notice patterns you could not see before. A child you prayed for who now walks with wisdom. A grandchild who listens closely when you speak, even if they don't say much. A neighbor who still remembers your kindness from years ago. A quiet respect from others that did not come from titles or success, but from consistency. These are not accidents. They are fruit. They are the result of a life that kept choosing faith when it would have been easier to give up. There is something deeply peaceful about realizing that your influence did not end when your working years did. The world may have told you that retirement meant stepping aside, slowing down, becoming less relevant. God never said that. In many ways, this is when your life speaks most clearly. Your words carry weight because they are backed by experience. Your prayers carry depth because they have been shaped by endurance. Your presence carries peace because you have learned where true security comes from. You may not move as quickly as you once did, but your spirit is steady. And steadiness is a rare and precious gift in a restless world. You may still have moments when you wonder if you did enough. Most faithful people do. You remember your mistakes more easily than your victories. You remember the times you lost patience, the opportunities you missed, the words you wish you could take back. God sees those moments too, but he also sees the grace that covered them. He sees the humility that followed. He sees the way you kept going anyway. A faithful life is not a perfect one. It is a life that returns to God again and again, trusting him to bring good even out of weakness. And that trust, practiced over many years, produces a harvest that is far richer than you might imagine. As you sit quietly now, perhaps in the early morning or at the end of the day, there is a different kind of joy available to you. It is not loud or flashy. It does not depend on applause. It is the joy of knowing that your life has meaning beyond what you can see. It is a calm assurance that God has been at work through you, even in seasons when you felt unnoticed or unsure. The same God who began this good work has been faithful to carry it forward, step by step, year by year. And he is still at work now. You may not see the full harvest yet. Some fruit ripens slowly. Some seeds were planted for generations you may never meet on this side of eternity. But God, in his kindness, often gives glimpses, a sense of peace that settles into your heart, a feeling of completion, not because everything was easy, but because it was given to him, a quiet confidence that your life has pointed again and again toward love. That is no small thing. That is a sacred offering. So rest in this season, not because you are finished, but because you are rooted. Let gratitude rise where anxiety once lived. Let hope take the place of fear. Trust that the same God who guided you through every chapter before will remain faithful now. The field you stand in today did not grow overnight. It grew because you did not stop planting, even when you were tired. And the God who watches over the harvest is gentle, patient, and very near. There's a tenderness to this stage of life that many people do not talk about, but God understands it well. You feel things more deeply now. Memories surface without warning. Moments from long ago return with surprising clarity. The sound of laughter around a dinner table, the weight of responsibility you once carried, the prayers you whispered late at night when no one else was awake. These memories are not meant to trouble you. They are reminders of how present God has always been, even when you did not fully realize it. Each memory is like a marker along the path, showing that you were never walking alone. When you were younger, you may have measured fruit by outcomes you could count. Success looked like progress you could point to, achievements others could recognize. But God measures differently. He measures faithfulness. He measures love expressed quietly. He measures endurance when quitting would have seemed reasonable. Over time, those measurements begin to reveal themselves in ways that surprise you. The harvest of a faithful life often shows up as peace that cannot be explained by circumstances. It shows up as wisdom that others seek, even if they do not call it that. It shows up as a heart that has learned how to be gentle, even after being wounded. You may notice that people listen differently to you now, not because you speak louder, but because your words carry the weight of experience. When you speak about patience, you are not repeating a lesson you read. You are sharing something you lived. When you speak about forgiveness, it is not theory. It is memory. This is part of the harvest. Your life has become a testimony without needing to declare itself as one. Simply being who you are, shaped by years of faith, offers something rare in the world: steadiness. In a culture that rushes, competes, and discards, your presence reminds others that what lasts is often built slowly. There is also a quiet courage that grows in this season. You are no longer trying to prove yourself. You no longer feel the same pressure to be impressive. Instead, there's a freedom in being honest, in admitting what you do not know, in resting in what you do. That freedom is not weakness. It is maturity. It is the kind of strength that comes only from walking with God over time. And it allows you to love more openly because you are no longer protecting an image. You are simply offering yourself as you are. Sometimes, though, this season brings questions. You may wonder what God still wants from you. You may ask if your best years are behind you. These questions are not signs of doubt. They're invitations to trust at a deeper level. God's purposes for you did not expire with age. They have shifted, refined, and deepened. Your role may look different now, but it is no less meaningful. In fact, it may be more aligned with God's heart than ever before. Listening, encouraging, praying with sincerity shaped by years of knowing both joy and sorrow. These are not small things. They are powerful, even if they are unseen. There is a special kind of prayer that rises from someone who has lived long enough to know that control is an illusion. These prayers are not rushed. They are not filled with many words. They are steady, sincere, and trusting. When you pray now, you bring your whole story with you. The answered prayers, the unanswered ones, the waiting, the loss, the gratitude. God receives those prayers with great tenderness. They are part of the harvest too. They continue to shape lives, often in ways you may never fully see. As you reflect, you may realize that some of the most important seeds you planted were sown during difficult seasons. Times when you were tired, but kept going. Times when you were uncertain, but remained faithful. Times when you chose kindness, even though it cost you something. Those seeds often take the longest to grow, but they produce the deepest roots. They shape character, yours and others. And character, once formed, continues to bear fruit long after circumstances change. There is also grace to the parts of your life that feel unfinished. Not every story resolves neatly. Not every relationship healed fully. Not every hope unfolded the way you imagined. God is not asking you to fix the past. He is inviting you to trust Him with it. The harvest of a faithful life includes learning how to release what you cannot control and rest in what God promises to complete. This release brings a lightness to the soul, a sense that you do not have to carry everything anymore. In this season, joy often arrives quietly. It may come as contentment rather than excitement, as gratitude rather than anticipation, as peace rather than certainty. This joy is not fragile. It does not depend on everything going right. It is rooted in the knowledge that your life has been held by God from the beginning and will continue to be held now. That knowledge steadies you. It allows you to look ahead without fear, not because you know what is coming, but because you know who walks with you. And so you continue, not striving, not rushing, but remaining faithful in the ways that matter most. You continue to love. You continue to pray. You continue to speak truth gently. You continue to trust that God is still bringing forth fruit, even if you cannot see all of it yet. The field around you is fuller than you realize, and the gardener who has tended your life with such care has not stopped working. There comes a moment, often in the quiet hours, when you begin to sense how wide your life has reached, not through accomplishments, but through people. Faces pass through your mind, some still close, some distant now, some whose paths cross yours only briefly. You may not remember everything you said or did, but you begin to realize that presence itself mattered. Being there mattered. Listening mattered. Choosing love again and again mattered. These realizations do not arrive all at once. They come gently, like light slowly filling a room. And with them comes a deep gratitude, not only for what you gave, but for what you were given along the way. You start to see that faithfulness is not loud. It does not demand recognition. It works quietly, steadily, shaping a life over time. The harvest of that faithfulness often looks simple on the surface, but it carries great depth. It looks like relationships that endured. It looks like trust built slowly and kept carefully. It looks like a heart that has learned to forgive, even when remembering still brings a trace of pain. It looks like humility, the kind that does not think less of itself, but thinks less about itself. This kind of harvest does not fade. It strengthens with time. There may be days when your body feels slower than your spirit, days when you wish you could do more, move more, fix more. On those days, remember that worth has never been measured by speed or strength. Your value has always been rooted in who you are, not in what you produce. God has never asked you to earn his pleasure. He has walked with you because he delights in you. That truth becomes especially precious now. It allows you to rest without guilt, to pause without fear, to trust that stillness has its own purpose. In this season, your life speaks even when you are silent. The way you respond to difficulty, the way you carry peace into a room, the way you remain hopeful without being naive, these things are noticed. Younger hearts are watching, even if they do not say so. They are learning what it looks like to endure with grace, to age without bitterness, to remain open rather than close off. You may not realize it, but you are teaching simply by being yourself. This is part of the harvest too, the passing on of wisdom, not through lectures, but through example. There is also a deepening trust that settles into your soul. You have seen enough of life to know that it rarely goes exactly as planned. You have also seen enough to know that God remains faithful through every turn. This trust is not blind. It is earned through experience. It is shaped by answered prayers and by strength given during unanswered ones. It allows you to hold the future with open hands, not clinging tightly, not pushing away, but offering it back to God with quiet confidence. Sometimes gratitude surprises you. It rises unexpectedly, even when circumstances are not perfect. You find yourself thankful for ordinary things, a familiar voice, a shared meal, a moment of laughter, a peaceful afternoon. This gratitude is a sign of harvest. It means your heart has learned how to recognize goodness wherever it appears. It means you are no longer chasing joy. You are noticing it, and that awareness brings a deep sense of contentment that cannot be manufactured. You may also notice that your prayers have changed. They are less about outcomes and more about people, less about control and more about trust. You pray with a gentleness that comes from knowing how fragile life can be and how precious each day truly is. These prayers carry a quiet power. They are shaped by compassion, patience, and hope refined over many years. God treasures these prayers. They rise like a steady offering, faithful and sincere. As you continue to reflect, you may feel a growing peace with your story as a whole. Not because everything was easy or right, but because you can see how God has been present through it all. Even the difficult chapters have been woven into something meaningful. Even the moments you once wished away have shaped you into someone capable of deep empathy and understanding. This peace does not erase the past. It redeems it. It allows you to hold your life with gratitude rather than regret. And so, you remain where you are, rooted and steady, trusting that the seeds you planted are still bearing fruit. Some are visible now. Some will continue to grow beyond what you can see. But all of them are held in God's care. Your life has mattered. It still matters. And the harvest of your faithfulness continues to unfold quietly and beautifully in ways that reach far beyond this moment. Here is a gentle settling that happens when you no longer feel the need to rush through your days. Time begins to feel different, not something to race against, but something to receive. Each morning becomes a gift rather than a demand. Each evening an invitation to reflect rather than to worry. In this slower rhythm, you begin to notice how carefully God has been walking with you all along. He was there in your strength, and He was there in your weakness. He was present in seasons of clarity and in seasons of confusion. And now, as you look back, you can see how His faithfulness has been a quiet thread holding everything together. You may realize that some of the seeds you planted took years, sometimes decades, to show signs of life. A word of encouragement you almost didn't speak. A moment of forgiveness that felt costly at the time. A choice to stay when leaving would have been easier. At the time, those moments may have felt small or even insignificant. But God was at work in them, shaping hearts, opening paths, preparing growth that would come later. The harvest of a faithful life often unfolds slowly, revealing itself piece by piece, like a story that becomes clearer with time. There's also a deep compassion that grows in this season. You have lived long enough to understand that everyone carries unseen burdens. You are less quick to judge, more willing to listen. You know that strength and struggle often exist side by side. This compassion is not weakness. It is wisdom. It allows you to meet others where they are, without needing to fix or correct them. Simply being present, offering understanding, becomes a powerful gift, and often it is received more deeply than words ever could be. As your days grow quieter, your inner life often grows richer. Reflection becomes a form of prayer. Memory becomes a place of gratitude. Even silence feels full rather than empty. You are learning that God does not always speak through dramatic moments. Sometimes He speaks through peace. Sometimes through reassurance. Sometimes through the simple sense of being held and known. This awareness brings comfort. It reminds you that you are not overlooked, not forgotten, not set aside. You are deeply seen. There may be moments when you wonder how your story will be remembered. It is natural to think about legacy, but legacy is not built only through grand achievements. It is built through consistency, through love shown over time, through faith lived quietly but sincerely. Your legacy is carried in the values you passed on, the kindness you modeled, the faith you lived out when no one was watching. These things do not fade. They continue to shape lives long after words are forgotten. You may also find that gratitude and grief sometimes walk together now. You are thankful for what has been, even as you miss what has changed. This mixture does not mean something is wrong. It means your heart is honest. God welcomes this honesty. He meets you in both gratitude and longing. He does not rush you through either. He stays with you, offering comfort and reminding you that every season has its own purpose. There's a quiet joy in realizing that you no longer need to strive for significance. Your life already has it. You no longer need to prove your worth. It has been established by love. This realization brings freedom. It allows you to give without expecting return, to love without fear of loss, to trust without needing guarantees. This freedom is part of the harvest too. It is the fruit of years spent learning who God is and who you are in Him. As you continue forward, day by day, you do so with a calm assurance. Not because everything is known, but because God is known. You have walked with Him long enough to trust His heart, even when the path is unclear. This trust carries you. It steadies you. It allows you to live fully in the present moment, appreciating what is here without clinging too tightly. And so, you remain faithful in the simple ways that matter most. You offer kindness where you can. You speak gently. You pray sincerely. You rest when needed. You trust that God is still at work, still bringing growth, still tending the seeds you planted long ago. The harvest of your life is not finished. It continues to unfold quietly and beautifully under the care of a God who has been faithful from the beginning and will remain faithful to the end. As the days pass, you may begin to feel a deeper sense of belonging, not to a place or a role, but to God's steady care. There is comfort in knowing that you no longer have to define yourself by what you do. You are free to be who you are, a soul shaped by years of trust, a heart softened by experience, a life that has learned how to hold both joy and sorrow with grace. This belonging does not depend on productivity. It rests in relationship, and that relationship has been faithful through every season. You may notice that conversations feel different now. You listen more closely. You speak more thoughtfully. There is less urgency to convince and more desire to understand. This shift is not accidental. It is the fruit of time spent learning what truly matters. People sense this in you. They feel safe sharing their worries, their hopes, their questions. You may not always have answers, but your presence alone offers reassurance. That is a powerful harvest, the ability to bring calm into another person's uncertainty. There is also a deep satisfaction that comes from knowing you stayed true to your values, even when it was difficult. You may not have always chosen the easiest path, but you chose a faithful one. You chose integrity over convenience, kindness over resentment, patience over haste. These choices, repeated over years, have shaped your character, and character, once formed, becomes a steady source of strength, not just for you, but for those around you. You might find yourself reflecting on moments when God's guidance was subtle but sure, a nudge you almost ignored, a door that closed, redirecting you in an unexpected way. At the time, you may not have understood why things unfolded as they did. But looking back now, you can see how those moments protected you, shaped you, prepared you. This understanding brings peace. It allows you to trust that even now, God is still guiding you with the same gentle care. You sense God's nearness, not through words, but through presence. This presence reassures you that you are not walking alone, that you never have been. It reminds you that your life, with all its chapters, has been held in love from the beginning. There may be days when the world feels uncertain or overwhelming. On those days, your steady faith becomes an anchor. You have lived long enough to know that seasons change, that storms pass, that hope endures. This knowledge does not make you indifferent. It makes you resilient. It allows you to face challenges without losing heart, to remain compassionate without becoming weary. This resilience is part of the harvest too, a quiet strength born of trust. You may also notice a growing appreciation for simple joys, a warm cup in your hands, sunlight through a window, a familiar song. These moments may seem small, but they carry great meaning. They remind you that life's beauty is often found in ordinary places. This awareness brings contentment. It teaches you to receive each day as it is, without needing it to be extraordinary to be meaningful.